Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be another makeup nostalgia video. If you haven't seen my first makeup nostalgia video, then I will make sure and link that one up above for you. Basically, this is a series where I take a palette that is a little bit on the older side, one that I've had in my collection for a while and you don't hear people talk about on YouTube as much anymore, and I do two separate looks with it. Today, I'm going to do two looks with the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, the original chocolate bar. Really gorgeous colors in here. I hope that you enjoy them. So definitely let me know in the comment section below what you'd like to see next in this series. If you want to see my two looks, this will be the second one, then just keep on watching. All right, so we're gonna start with the first look. So I already have my base done, my brows, and I put on primer and set my lids. I will do the rest of my face after I do my eyes because I don't even totally know what I'm doing. So I wanna make sure that everything goes with it, but I will make sure and let you know what I'm wearing besides the eyes, which is obviously going to be this palette. So the annoying thing about the old versions of these chocolate bars is that they do not have the shade, oops, they do not have the shades, the names of them on the palette. So unfortunately, whatever it came with that had the shade names on it, I don't have that anymore. So you'll just kind of have to follow along that way. I don't know what the names are. I will just point and let you know what shades I'm using. So I set my lid with this cream shade right here. It's a great shade for that if you have my skin tone or, at least similar enough. I'm gonna go in with this lighter brown shade right here, just all over as a transition shade. This really is a great palette. It still holds up. So if you're looking for a good, neutral palette that has some good, warm shades, but not super, super warm, more neutral, I would say, than warm. It has some great purples, even has a shimmery green color that's really pretty. You can do a lot with this palette. So I still do really, really enjoy this. I just don't get as much use out of it as I should, just with a lot of my palettes. So, I wanted to do this series as a way to get more use out of them. See how nice that is? Blends super nicely. They definitely have a little bit of kick up, but nothing crazy. I still recommend tapping your brush off, especially if you've done your base already, which, by the way, I am trying out a new foundation today for the very, very first time. So hopefully the shade is okay. When I first put it on, I was like, whoa, it was very yellow. But then once I blended it out, it seemed like it was okay. It's the Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation. So we'll see. I literally just put this on for the first time, so we'll see. I'm now gonna go in with this slightly darker brown shade and put that a little more targeted in my crease. This is, not gonna be a revolutionary type of look. I just wanted to show, two different ways that you can use it. Tomorrow's is gonna be much more smoky nighttime type of look. I may go into some of those purples. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm gonna do that. I mean, these are really great shades and it does smell like chocolate. It absolutely smells like chocolate. These shades blend really, really nicely. You don't have to work too hard to blend them out. First, I'm gonna take this shade right here. It's sort of a darker, almost like a bronzy, a light bronzy color. I'm gonna put that over on this side, and then I'm gonna put this lighter color, which is probably one of my favorites in the palette, this really light champagne color. I'm gonna put that more on the inner part of my eyes. And I am going to wet my brush with these. I think that you can get a really nice soft look if you don't. You can see, that's really nice. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like without wetting it. I just like it to be a little more intense. But if you really want it to look nice and soft, then you really don't have to wet it. I just like to do that. So you can see it's nice and soft. It's just gonna be a little more intense if you wet it, which I like. See, that just really amps it up a lot. Just feel like with shimmers, most of the time, if you want them to be super intense, you've got to wet them. I mean, some more so than others, but when all else fails, this will do the trick. So I'm putting it like that, and then I'm going to just take the same brush. I'm just gonna kind of wipe it off, but I'll just switch it to the other side. And I'm gonna take that lighter champagne color and I'll spray it again. And by the way, I'm just using my MAC Fix Plus to do this. That's what I always use. It's a really good investment. It lasts so long. I've had that same bottle, I don't even know how long. And I use it most days when I do my makeup, if I'm using shimmers. And even sometimes I'll use it if I feel like my face is looking really powdery and flat. I'll use that to kind of like wake it up and kind of blend and meld all of those powders together. And it really, it's a magical product. I love MAC Fix Plus. So I'm just gonna go in with those crease shades to kind of blend everything together. So I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more of that darker brown and kind of blend the edges. Just a little bit more product, not a whole lot. You know, this is the original packaging, so it's thicker than the newer palettes. Like if you were to buy this today, this would be like half of the size, this bottom portion. It would be really, really thin. So, you know, I have the old packaging. So this is still a great palette to travel with. Mine's just a little bit more bulky than if you were to go and buy it today. So just keep that in mind. And I'm gonna go back in with that cream shade just to clean things up at the top there. And that helps to clean up some of those edges and highlight the brow just a little bit. And I'll use my crease brush again as well to kind of, my fluffy brush, to kind of blend that highlight with the transition shade. And if you get too crazy, you can kind of even, you know, clean up the edges over there. That's what's so great about a nice like shade that's around your skin tone, maybe slightly lighter. Very often I would take either a brown liquid liner or a brown pencil and just smudge it across the lash line. But I'm actually going to take this dark brown shade right here, and I'm going to use that as sort of like a liner. I'm going to just kind of put that along my lash line. So I'm going to take like a flat brush like that and go in with this. I'll show a little bit in the camera here, but then I'm going to get up close in my mirror and do it because it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing. So just going to kind of press it like that. Not even like rubbing, just kind of pressing, and I'll build it up slowly. So I'm going to go finish up that and I will be right back. Okay, so you can see, like, you don't totally notice that it's there, but it just adds a little bit of definition to the lash line. It looks really nice and natural and pretty, and I think it looks nice to define the lash line. So if you don't like the look of a pencil, and you definitely don't like the look of, you know, an eyeliner, like a liquid eyeliner, then you may like this trick. It's a really good one. All right, so let's do the lower lash line. I'm gonna take a nude eyeliner for the waterline because that just looks really nice during the daytime. It really brightens up your eyes and makes you look more awake, but I'm gonna add that on after. So I'm just gonna keep that pretty natural down there. I'm just going to take those two crease shades. I'm going to buff the lighter one across my lash line, and then I will add a little bit of that just for the outer half to add a little bit more definition. And you can smoke this out as much as you want. You can kind of keep it pretty light like that. But I think it does really balance out a look when you do this. If you don't add anything, it can look really top heavy, depending on what you're doing. But I think usually adding just a little bit makes a big difference in a look. And then I'm just gonna I'll take the same brush because it has like a little bit of a tip there, just on the tip, just the tip. And I'm gonna kind of keep that a little closer to the lash line just to deepen it up a little bit in that outer half, just like that. Not too much. And again, you can add more if you want, but we're keeping this kind of natural. And you could use a different brush. You can even use that same flat brush that I used on the lid, but I'm lazy, so. And then I'm gonna take this nude eyeliner and put that in my waterline. I'm going to add mascara. I'm going to do the rest of my face and my lips, and I will be right back. All right, so this is the completed look. So if you want to know what else I have on my face, I bronzed with the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. For blush, I used the Urban Decay Afterglow blush in the shade Rapture. For highlight, I have the NARS Hot Sand highlighter, really pretty peachy highlight. On my lips, I lined with MAC Dervish. This is in my project pan, so I'm using this as much as I can. And then I put the Flower Beauty matte lipstick in Autumn Rose on. Really pretty color. If that's too dark for you for day to day, then certainly use a lighter nude color, but I liked this sort of color going with the browns. And then I put, just to lighten it a little bit, but also make it nice and glossy, I used the Marc Jacobs Gloss in Sugar Sugar. I hope that you liked this first look. If you want to see the next look with the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette, then make sure and keep watching. Right, so let's move on to the second look. I think I'm gonna play with some of these purple shades. So let's have a little fun. So I'm gonna start with this shade right here as my transition. just because it's a little more cool toned than the one we used yesterday. And since we're going for some of the purples, I feel like this will go just a little bit better. So I'm gonna go in with this shade right here and just sort of go about halfway or so. And these shades are gonna be purple without being like so obviously purple. Like even this one here looks much more purple than the one that we're using right now, but it's still gonna have that purple smokiness to it. And I'm even bringing it up a little bit into my crease, just so that you'll see it just a little bit more when my eyes are open. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit messy because we'll fix all of that. You can even just smudge it a little bit with your finger. Don't need to get freaked out if you get a little bit out of the lines, you know? Now I'm gonna take a little more of a crease brush and I'm gonna go into this shade right here, just sort of into my crease a little bit, not too far in, but just sort of to, you know, mesh these two colors together. That's what I really like in a palette, is to feel like I can do so many different type of looks. Like some palettes, you feel like you can only do one look, and that will be sort of the complaint from people about it. But I think a really good palette is one where you can just create so many different looking looks, if that makes sense. You know, I can do a purple smoky eye, I can do a green smoky eye, I can do just a, you know, basic champagne brown look, you know, so many options. Add a little bit more of that first purple shade that we use with all the sparkle in it, which I will say, it doesn't quite have that much of a sparkly effect when you put it on the lid, but it does still look pretty. You know, maybe if you used a different brush, I don't know, but it does lose a little bit of that when you put it on the lid, unfortunately, because it is really a pretty shade. It still looks pretty, but you get what I'm saying. Now for the inner part of my lid, I'm going to add just a little bit of concealer, not really to be like a cut crease, but just to kind of be a little bit of a base. You could use white. I don't necessarily want this to be super bright. I just want to make it pop a little bit. So I'm just going to take the same primer that I use, the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and I'm just going to kind of put a little bit in that front part of my lid so that I can make it just a little bit more vibrant. Just a very light layer. And just kind of fade it into a darker purple. See? And brightens it up quite a bit. And so then when we go in with the shade that we're going to put in that spot, it's going to be a lot more vibrant. Well, this isn't necessarily that it needs it, it's just, it's going to help a little bit. But if you feel like a shadow just is kind of lackluster, you can use this to just sort of, this trick. I am going to just spritz it a little bit too. Okay. Just pop that right on top. See, I think that just makes a really big difference. It just makes it pop a little more. I'm gonna take that brush with that sparkly purple and just kind of blend the edges a little bit more. Just a tiny bit. And I'm gonna take a little bit more of the cream shade up on the top to just sort of help highlight a little bit more and just kind of clean up those edges a little bit, because it can get a little bit messy up there. And I'm gonna take the shimmery pink and put that in my inner corners. It's kind of weird though, because I feel like this shade doesn't go as a highlight for like this side of the palette. I feel like it only works for this side. So I guess they give you like a matte highlight, but that's sort of a dark shade to be a highlight. It's kind of what this is missing, I think. Like if they had split this in half and had it half pinky tone and then half like more of a, you know, a brighter goldy shade. I just feel like this goes really well with the purple shades, but not so well as a highlight with, you know, the green and the browns and all of those colors. And we're gonna make the bottom lash line a little bit more smoky than we did yesterday. So I'm going to take a black eyeliner, just gonna use the Lottie London black one, and I'm gonna tight line with this. And I'm put a little bit of my waterline as well. Not going too crazy with the black, but I think this look does call for black. So I'm going to take, on a fluffy brush, that crease shade that we used originally. I'm gonna fluff that over the bottom, and then we'll use a more precise brush to add in a purple. When all else fails, just use your crease shade on the bottom lash line. It's kind of a good, easy go-to. You know, and then you can use your accent shades a little more precisely. And then I'm going to take a little definer brush here and go into that shade right there. I I could use the sparkly one, but I feel like this one will have more of an impact. Just at that base there. And we'll smudge that out just a tiny bit, but just to add a little bit of that purple in. Really just about halfway, because it will kind of blend it in a little bit. Like that. So now I'm going to add some liquid liner to my top lash line, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually just went ahead and finished everything else because I was basically done with the eyes anyway. So this is the rest of the look. I added on some eyeliner and some mascara, and then I went ahead and did my face. So if you're curious what else I am wearing, I have the Tarte Amazonian Clay bronzer on. This is the Park Avenue Princess. It's the matte bronzer. As my bronzer, I actually added a little bit of contour just at the back of my cheekbones with the NYX Taupe blush. And then I have NARS Oasis blush on as my blush, obviously. And Mary Luminizer from The Balm as my highlighter, a classic highlighter. For my lips, I lined with my MAC Dervish pencil. Still trying to use this thing up for my project. The MAC Modesty lipstick, one of my absolute favorite lipsticks. This is not the first Modesty that I've owned. And I have the Laura Mercier lip glacé, I think is how they're pronounced, in Bear Baby, just a really pretty gloss. I don't know why people don't talk about these glosses. They're really, really nice. So anyway, that is the whole look. I hope you enjoyed the second look for my Makeup Nostalgia series. Which look did you like better? Definitely comment down below and let me know. Also comment down below and let me know if there's a palette in particular that you'd like to see next. I recently posted my palette declutter, so you can see in that video if there are any palettes that, you know, you'd love to see me do in this series. If you like this video, make sure and give it a big thumbs up. That really does help out my channel. And subscribe if you're not already. I would love to have you here. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.